What's going on to all my Doom Patrol fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. We are back again, breaking down the latest episode of Season 3 of Doom Patrol. We're talking Episode 5, which is titled Dada Patrol, an episode in which our Doom Patrol members meet the Sisterhood of Dada, and one of our members decides to time travel. We're breaking it all down here in this spoiler review, but before we dive into it, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you all are at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new content. If you enjoyed this spoiler review, well, make sure to like and share the review. It helps out the channel a lot, but also appreciate the support. And once you've seen this 5th episode, because we're talking spoilers, let's talk about it in the comments. What do you think about the Dada, the Sisterhood of Dada, and the power scale and the power set of the Fog and who they're connected to? But let's also talk about Rita. Going in that time machine, where would she be going? What timeline, which year would she be traveling to? Will she pay a visit to Niles? Let's talk about your pros, your cons, your thoughts and theories for the weeks ahead in the comments below. So before I dive into the breakdown and recap here, I'm not gonna lie. This episode was kind of little mwah to me. It was okay. I had some fun with it, of course, as I do with all these episodes. But from a narrative perspective, this is definitely one of those situations where this was definitely an episode where I can see maybe 4 or 5 episodes down the road, because we have 10 episodes this season. I can see this being like a setup episode, because the narrative was pushed forward a little bit, but we were mostly setting up the Sisterhood of Dada and learning these different members and their power scaling. And again, we're still in the heads of a lot of our characters. So again, I felt like it was a little stagnant for some of the characters while kind of slightly progressing the story, but I just wasn't as entertained as I normally am, and I just didn't feel like a lot of the emotional beats, they felt a little bit repetitive from previous episodes. But again, I love these characters, but this episode wasn't my type of Doom Patrol type of experience. Again, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't necessarily like top tier kind of Doom Patrol, what I'm always come to expect. But let me know how you all felt about the episode, and we'll break it down here, but let me know your pros and cons, and let's talk about it. But let's break it all down as we open up. As I mentioned, this kind of continuing emotional kind of resonancy with these characters. I feel like we kind of are treading the same ground, where we open with Kay, who's talking to the therapist, who Kay wants to go up and be one of the main personas, but they don't think that's a good thing for her. And we keep seeing, which I know this is a battle that Jane goes through with her different personas, but it's like we keep going back and forth about the tug and pull of like, okay, we trust you, Jane, but then we don't trust you. We trust you. It's like it kind of gets repetitive and kind of gets annoying at the same time. Like, when can they all get on the same page? Again, that's real life, right? Whenever you have a group of people, everyone's not going to agree with each other. But I feel like we just keep repeating that same storyline with Kay, and who's going to protect her, and Jane's not, fit to protect her. It gets a little repetitive, in my opinion. Let me know how you all feel about that. But a little, I don't want to say Easter egg, but I don't know if you all noticed, but before we interact with Cliff and Vic, there was a girl, I think her name was Isabel Flowers or Feathers. She was missing. I don't know where that plot's going from. I don't know if that derives from last week's episode with the zombie, the butt eater zombie. Maybe it's going around town killing people and eating them, and they're going up missing. But that's something I saw very early on. But nonetheless, we see that Cliff and Vic are interacting. He has his pills that he bought from the internet that he only supposed to take 3, and it's supposed, or take like not that many, I think 2, and it's supposed to take 3 months for him, for the pills to kind of kick in, and for him to get the results he's looking for. But as Vic's distracted because he's now back online, Cliff decides to take it upon himself to dump half of the bottle into his whole eating system, and that wasn't a good idea, because he was high as hell for the duration of this episode, and who knows what the implications of those pills are going to actually do to him. But I mentioned that Vic is now back online. He has a conversation with his dad, and his dad kind of apologizes, which he never really does. We know that, but now Vic is back online. But we know Vic is still struggling with who he is as a person, who he is as this cyborg, so we're still dealing with that, which is, again, another very familiar storyline that we've been dealing with for 3 seasons now. But we see that the patrol, they learn a little bit about the Sisterhood of Dada, that they are essentially responsible for letting them go from that ant farm attack that we got. And this is where we see that Laura DeMel wants them to kill the Sisterhood of Dada by infiltrating them first, and to learn about this eternal flagellation, I believe is what they call it, and see what they're all about. And that's the whole game plan of this episode, infiltrating the Sisterhood of Dada. So while we're setting that all up, we see that Laura DeMel and and Rita are having a conversation. She shows her the clip that we saw, like, Rita, why were you there? And Rita just immediately goes to, oh, this is my destiny. This is my time traveling self. Again, maybe she is a time traveler. We'll see, but I don't think she is. But she is just convinced that, oh, that's my time travel. That it's in that clip. And we see that, after a couple drinks, they have some conversations, and Rita gives her the piece of her time machine back so she can go back in time and get back on her purpose and her mission. And they're kind of bonding at this point in the episode. But meanwhile, we see that our Doom Patrol members get split up in the woods as they are in the search of the Sisterhood of Dada, and this is where Cliff gets sucked into a portal and he meets a woman that speaks Japanese in a glass box. We see that Jane meets a character by the name of the Fog, who seems to be a member of the Sisterhood of Dada, and Vic, meanwhile, he meets this black guy with wheels, bicycle tires on his back, and they have this whole back and forth about asking him, why are you? Again, all that stuff, the stuff that we get with those three characters, the only one that was really interesting was just, obviously, to me, was Jane interacting with the Fog, who seems to be, manipulating her and telling her that she doesn't need her personas, that, you can protect Jane, really kind of boosting her up and really ultimately getting her to take that peppermint that she takes later on in the episode. But that was the most interesting. The stuff that we get with Vic and the dude was, I don't know, felt a little kind of forced in regards to the social commentary of Vic not being, not knowing who he is as a person, questioning him being black and, the stuff he's gone through, and the whole poetry jam sessions they had. Listen, it's interesting, but it just wasn't compelling to me, and I don't know where they're going with that plot. And then again, with Cliff and the woman in the glass box, again, this was a setup episode. I'm hoping that they pay those storylines off, because right now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not all that interested in those plots. But we also see Larry, I don't know where his son came from, but he is chasing his son in the woods, who tries to shoot him, and then a lobster comes out of the gun. Again, this is the absurdity of the show, which I love, but I don't understand where his son's been this whole time. I guess he was taken by the Dada to distract Larry. We'll see what comes of that. Meanwhile, Larry's still dealing with his whatever's going on with his body, with his baby and the zits and all that. I'm still kind of very curious on, does this have anything to do with the ramifications of the negative spirit leaving his body? Only time will tell. But meanwhile, we see that once the name gets brought up, that Lord DeMille is helping them out. This is where all the mind games kind of end, and they realize they've been kind of infiltrated by the Fog, and they're mad. They want to find Lord DeMille, as it seems like she's left. And I'm not familiar with the Sisterhood of Dada, which I believe this is just created for the show, but this is like derived from the comics, from the Brotherhood of Dada, which is essentially a group made up by a particular character that we all know, Mr. Nobody, who was rejected from the Brotherhood of Evil, and he made the Sisterhood, or I should say in the comics, the Brotherhood of Dada. So they're definitely switching it up. They're switching they're gender swapping some of these characters to add their own flavor to it. So if we can get Mr. Nobody back, I would like that, because he's one of my favorite characters of this entire show and an incredible villain. Ooh, if we can get him back, that would be fantastic. But back to Rita and Lord DeMille as they fix the time machine, and, we see that the Doom Patrol is coming back. Now, they're defeated. They've been mind-effed, so they're all kind of in their own feelings right now. We wrap up the episode with Cliff taking more of his pills, which isn't a good idea. Jane is being kept away from Kay at this point. Again, we get that same thing. Do you trust Jane? Do you not? But nonetheless, she takes the peppermint pill that the Fog Lady gave her, so I assume that she's gonna infiltrate the Sisterhood of Dada and learn what they're all about and their evil ways and where they come from, and if Mr. Nobody's behind all this. And again, she's in her head at this point, and we see Larry taking care of his son, which I really don't care about that plot, I'm not gonna lie. But wrapping things up, Rita, she wants to fulfill her destiny. She goes down to the basement, she hops in a time machine. I don't know where she's going to go, but she's on a journey of self-discovery, and we'll find out where she goes next week. But again, there's some things that were fine about it. The conversation between Jane and the Fog woman was interesting, and again, all that dynamic. But the stuff with Vic and that guy, and Cliff and the pills, and Larry and his son, it's just, and Rita and her time travel was interesting. But all the other stuff in this episode, again, just felt more of a setup, more so than like an actual episode I really want to engage with. It just didn't really sit with me in certain aspects, and especially, like I mentioned, the Vic kind of having that racial commentary conversation just didn't feel right. It kind of felt a little forced, but I'm still still in love with the show. I still love these characters, and I'm excited to see what happens next. But I just wasn't all in love with this episode as I am with other episodes. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts, pros, cons, thoughts, theories. What's going on with these missing people? Who is the Sisterhood of Dada? What's their goal? What's their mission? Who are these other characters? We still have the Brotherhood of Evil out there to worry about, and so much more. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you stuck around to this point in the video, I appreciate every single one of you all. Before you leave, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell. That way you don't miss any of my other future reviews. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to the channel, check out the other content. We'll see you in the next video.